Overview of control, classifying control frameworks, then what is ERM, what is business continuity management, and what is information integrity and reliability. These are the topics to discuss. When we talk about controls, every company needs controls, because if you don't put controls, you cannot have effective output from the human resource. It's like a human nature that you want guidance from people. You have to tell, look, this is your attendance policy, this is your end of service calculation way, this is your performance evaluation criterions. So you give them criterion and you keep them in controls based by using the effective control management. We will classify the control like preventive, deductive, directive, which stage of the control it will be. Then what are the control frameworks given by certain bodies like COSO, COBIT, and this is a very famous model nowadays, ERM, Enterprise Risk Management Model. And this makes sure that you have catered all the risk and you know the steps, factors, and you are looking the risk into today's environment, long-term, operational, strategic, and you are looking to the compliance part in general, right? Business continuity management is very, very important nowadays, because of if you don't have good effective management within the company, then you will be suffering from cash flow shortage, working capital bad management, and your gearing and liquidity is not in favor of your operations. Then there should be someone who can guide you that how you can increase your sustainability, how you can do the continuity. There are specialists nowadays, they work on business continuity management, and obviously the process starts from financial statements. You do analysis and we relate financial with non-financials, and we can see that is there any threat to your sustainability and what factors you should take in consideration once you are going to make an effective management systems. When we introduce internal auditing, of course, the role is information integrity and reliability of information, and what you do in case of privacy, because you are having access to the records and you know everything. So what should be the privacy in this regard? First of all, let's still define the control. Control is any action taken by management, board, or senior management to enhance risk management and increase the likelihood that established objective and goal will be achieved. This is, we know, day one, that putting system in the company, in the organization, is the responsibility of the management. Management is responsible to put system, and they have to make sure that it is updated, and internal auditor has to evaluate effectiveness. He has to test that these are the adequate, it provides reasonable assurance that things are well placed. That's why we will go for a control testing when we go for an audit. We always do for test of controls, right? Because company will put, and as auditors we have to check that how effective these controls are. Then see how the control processes are defined, the policies, procedure, and activity that are part of control framework designed to ensure the risks are contained with the risk tolerances established by the risk management process. Every company has its own risk. Bank has its own risk. Oil company has another risk. Currency exchange company has its own risk. And every risk has its own acceptable tolerance level. For example, if you earn 100,000 and you lost 10,000, you can sustain. But if you earn 9,000 and you lost 7,000, it's a big disaster for you, right? So your risk tolerance is different from those guys who earns more money. Same way, every bank, every group, they have their own acceptable risk tolerance. Till if it is, it's okay. But anything above will be a threat to the continuity and other structures. Control requires feedbacks, means you have a policy, then you have implementation, and then you are going to test that. People are in following these policies and procedures in terms of controls. Control process should establish, first of all, you should establish the standard, then you have to measure the performance, examine and analyze the deviations. Deviation means they're like a variance analysis. You have the budgeted figure, you have actual, so you see where is the defined procedure is violated. And take corrective action if necessary and reappraise if you need more information into based on your experience, judgment, professional skepticism. In terms of control, the IIA, the internal audit activity, must evaluate the adequacy and effectiveness of control. This is our major work. As an internal auditor, we have to see that the system employed by the management is adequate, effective, and it's reliable, and it creates integrity. People trust on it. In terms of safeguarding the asset, safeguarding means protection of asset is not the case. The employees are taking laptops at home, they are removing furniture because this is what they can do, and is there any strong control on the safeguarding of asset? Control require feedbacks because when you put controls, of course, feedback will make sure that how effective your controls are. And for making more motivational, you introduce the reward-based evaluation system that you tell the goal and the path and then criterions you define, and then you show a reward to them. So based on that psychology, people get motivated and they do effective work. Control may be classified as primary and secondary depending on their significance. And they also classified as preventive, deductive, corrective, and directive, compensatory, or complementary. What are those? Let's discuss. Preventive controls we put in the planning phase, because in English we say prevention is better than the cure. So when we put preventive controls, this means that we don't want to let things happen. So a couple of things we do in the planning phase. Followed by we have detective phase, like antivirus, when we have very good Windows, but still we put a detective antivirus, so anything going to harm the system we can detect. Directive is that management issue a direction that all internal auditors should update their knowledge, they should do CIA. This is directive. Compensating means that once you cannot afford too many of auditor because of the cost and benefit analysis. So what we have to do is we have to give a compensation, or we should give an additional role to the supervisors. So the workflow will filter if you do something and the supervisor review it. That becomes a compensating control in comparison to have some internal auditor from outside, right? Compensating controls based on that. And then we have the complementary controls. These are works with each other. You put one control, it serves a complement to the others, right? For example, you put an attendance control system as a main, and for salary calculation, the attendance sheet will become a complement to it, right? Because you need number of days, timings, and flows. So these are some type of controls which of course you have to use when you are going to have an effective testing. And management has to put these controls as a mandatory part to control the activities. Right?
Detective control, how it will be, how can we detect?
Like stock take, physical stock take, you have an accounting system and you have a physical count. Now you want to deduct, is there any discrepancy? You go for a stock take. This is detective, right? Preventive is in the planning phase. Directive, as I told you, is a direction. Compensating is when you don't, based on cost benefit analysis, you cannot afford too many of auditors. You put a supervisor additional charges for checking. This is compensating, right? Complementary, this is complement to each other. Let's talk about feedback control, who give you a feedback. Those controls which give you a feedback about any step, these are called feedback controls. and concurrent controls which goes concurrently. Concurrent means simultaneously. Like you have software in which you can log in. 5 people can log in at same time. This is called concurrent users. This is called same like we have concurrent controls which goes simultaneously. Feed forward controls which look into